The home team crowd is on the brink of elimination, going up against Proton Gaming, a team that was had some big changes over the offseason and just before Arlington, right? LastShot added during the offseason, the FFA World Champion from Seattle, but then they also added Kuhlect, dropping Manny just days before the roster lock. Well, they've secured themselves top 8, looking for a top 6 finish here. Quadrant playing in their home crowd do not want to disappoint.
Yeah, you know the crowd is definitely behind this Quadrant roster. A lot of thought process went into their changes as well. Talking to SLG at Arlington. We'll see if they're able to make those changes worthwhile here. It's one down for the side of Quadrant. Snipedrone's the first one to fall. And Taulek and the rest of Proton Gaming will be wary of that as they get another kill. They've got setup as well. They've got the spawns forced onto B, but got to try and milk as much time as possible. They got to get the slays at the same time. Looks like a trade happens in the feed, but 2 down for Quadrant.
Great work by Druk just to try to get that ball as far away from Quadrant as possible. Unfortunately for him, his teammates just go down in the meantime, and this is going to be a battle that's so important, is this battle inside of A. For Snipedrone, it's just about stalling, waiting for your help to come in from the top side, and Proton playing into Quadrant's hands. They were weak inside A, but they never decide to push. Instead, Quadrant are going to be able to collapse in on these players of Proton.
Hey, you saw that push from the big door, but then they decide to be aggressive. That is Quadrant. And because of that, they end up falling. One of them falls now. This is a massive kill here. You see the jab step trying to happen there from, I believe it was GloryGGz. 14-12 though, so far here for the side of Quadrant as they continue to get ball time. And again, up until this point in the game, I haven't seen much control from either squad, but it looks like Quadrant finally has locked in a little tiny bit of a setup here. And with that kill from Kuhlect, it's going to make things a little bit easier for them.
I like how aggressive Quadrant is being out of their setup, right? They get the hold. They're not just standing back and playing safe Halo. They're sending players out to try to meet Proton on the spawn. And because we see SLG push out as quickly as he did, we see that the camouflage gets neutralized while the fight is happening over by ball, allowing Quadrant to have a much easier time holding this on after the respawns.
Well, you see 2 down there for Quadrant. And then Cypher's coming up as well. We talk about Druk a lot. His first time back on LAN. And as you said, they've already solidified that top 8, so obviously hasn't dropped a beat just yet. Sica, top center. It's Quadrant with a snipe. A push here comes from Proton Gaming. It was 3 dead momentarily. It is 3 dead again. Kuhlect, the last player alive. He's the first one to spawn on that A side, and he gets a kill because of it. But all the while, it's Quadrant to rotate the ball out.
Yeah, they're going to be quick to play it as well. They've done their job, right? 52 seconds of ball time. You couldn't ask for really much more. Very unusual to get that long of a streak holding on that ball. Great rotations were made by Snipedrone, a player that in Oddball has been their top slayer, doing a lot of that dirty work with the Oddball this time. He's sporting it. Get this, a 1.3 KD in Oddball in today's at London. Fantastic performances from Snipedrone all weekend long.
On the other end of things, on the flip side, it's Kuhlect for me. I feel like very incredible individual player, but a little bit inconsistent, I would say. But his ceiling's so extremely high. We know what he's capable of. And if we can see that here out of Proton, I really think this team could get that top 6 and even further potentially. They've got to get through Quadrant first, though. There's Snipedrone off the map. If there's one way to get through the side of Quadrant, that's one way.
SLG is just a monster. There's no one there for him to strafe out of, but you can see how well acclimated these players are to the movement of Halo Infinite and how to maximize their strafe. I don't think I could hit SLG behind that dummy any day. Proton finally finding their answer back, getting some slays on this map. I'd like to see how efficient they are with his oddball, right? You're getting these 2-3 players down. Can you maximize your value here? Get this oddball and get camouflage at the same time. This is certainly a doable comeback in their current position.
Ooh, camo's
Oh,
not
no.
used. That's really bad. Quadrant's gonna have camo and ball setup. Not good for the side of Proton Gaming, who had everything in their hands. Like you said, they had an opportunity to get a couple of kills, get some ball time. They had 2 players dead, but somehow Quadrant come through. With 1 minute and 29 seconds left, Quadrant can just play time here if they want to, but it looks like they will hold the ball for the duration. Here comes the push. Taulek and Druk get 2. Sica's gonna get 2 back though. The target switch to last shot. 3 down go Quadrant. An opportunity for Proton Gaming to get some ball time of their own, but not a lot of neutral time to work with here.
And suddenly the neutral time, is certainly going to be playing a factor. With just over 60 seconds for Proton to play around with, the sniper already going into the hands of Quadrant, this looks dire for Proton. You're going to have to come up with some big individual wins in your gunfights, and they're just not coming to fruition.
Yep. Quadrant is coming out on top of all these fights. Proton will scurry away with the ball, but it doesn't amount to much. As you see, Snipedrone just looking for a way to pull Kuhlect out of the back of green. He's not able to do so though. Kuhlect gets 2, but quickly taken out. And again, it's 2 down for the side of Quadrant. But then they answer back once again. It's Glory with a perfect couple of shots to get himself a double kill. And all the while, all these kills that are going in the hands of Proton Gaming, they're just not able to get comfortable enough to get some ball time.
20 seconds remain for Proton, and with 2 players down, it's going to be a victory lap for Quadrant in this first round. Nothing Proton can do in this situation. Just think about what's to come next and how to recover from this tough first round, right? I mean, just nothing really going right for them. But what's interesting about it is look at the kills, right?
Yeah,
they're keeping up. I mean, they're not getting outslayed. In fact, I think they might be even on the slays. So how is there so much disparity between the score lines? Well, it comes down to that first hold that we saw from Quadrant and how efficient they were at their rotation. If you can maximize value while you're going even on slays, that's when you see score lines like this.
Glory decides to put the QT towards the back of green, and now he's got 2 sides of the map that he can control, but it's going to be up to Snipedrone to get that kill on the A side. There was 2 down for Proton Gaming. Those 2 will spawn on the big door side. So now it's up to Snipedrone to potentially get a couple of kills on this side of the map. The aggression from last shot, that's going to be good. He'll get the sniper. He'll get taken out pretty quickly, though. As once again, Quadrant come on top of the slades. It's 3 down for Proton.
It's a similar situation that we saw at the beginning of round 1, where although the slays were so even throughout all of round 1, it was the beginning slays getting that sniper rifle back, allowing this ball to have dynamic rotations to either camouflage or big door, with the players of Quadrant playing their positions well, is what led to that massive lead that was too much for Proton to overcome. It's deja vu all over again.
Quadrant is looking dominant, and you got to know that even on that featured station, the crowd is behind them. This is a Quadrant major, if you didn't know. Regardless, though, we'd like to see Quadrant break that record placing that they once got in 3rd place. It's going to be a lot of work, though. They've got to get past Proton. Snipedrone. My goodness, the jab step. What? Did he drop weapon as well? That's the first time I've seen hold this in a long time.
Snipedrone's been absolutely incredible in the tournament this weekend, sporting a 1.32 KD, one of the best KDs in all of the tournament. He's averaging over 20 kills a game. This is his tournament so far, and you're seeing it play out once again in this game. He's hitting the big snipe shots. He's winning the crucial fights. And remember that oddball hold that they had in the first round?
Yep.
That was all Snipedrone on the rotations. He is playing a perfect tournament thus far.
23 and 15 out of Snipedrone. 71 points here for Quadrant. They're looking masterful right now. 3 down for Proton Gaming once again. Ball acquired, and now it's the camo in the hands of Snipedrone, so we can put more work into that KD. That's exactly what he's gonna do. Immediately goes towards the spawning players on that C plat side. Tries to potentially prevent a couple of lanes from being pushed, but again, so many players have camo eyes nowadays, Tools. Everyone sees the camo. He's got to be careful.
You gotta have those tips and tricks on deck. They play on great computers, 240 FPS on 240 hertz monitors. Shout out to Zowie over there, but they also do things like lower their brightness on their screens because it makes the camo just a little bit easier to see. They all got their little tricks, and honestly, I mean, can we even call camo power up now? I mean, come on, guys. How many times have we seen camo actually making it power? I'm just kidding. obviously, we've seen much better camo eyes from folks in Halo Infinite than any other Halo before.
Agreed. Nerf it. I mean, buff it. I meant to say buff it. 88 points and counting here for the side of Quadrant. They only need 10, and again, they look so good. Like, this looks like Proton's getting completely outclassed, and it's not something that I would have expected, to be honest. Finally, is Proton getting 3 down for the side of Quadrant. Couple shots work out.
I don't know how I like that play for SLG, right? They get that opening pick, and it's going to allow Quadrant to push through, but he was last alive. You're only 10 seconds away. Like, in my opinion, you hold that ball, but what we see, because he went out and got that damage, it's made this push that much easier for Quadrant. That's the difference between, your bog standard Onyx, like plat player like myself, and these pro players is they understand, hey, let's just get the value that's needed. All we need is a little bit of damage on a player, not even the kill, and my teammates will capitalize on it. First round, going over the Quadrant, and it was a thorough victory. I mean, at no point was Proton even in the game. Back into it, Slayer. Quadrant with a dominant game 1 win. Proton never even in the conversation of taking that one away. Now go to the Slayer, the home crowd behind it, and you have to think, Tim, maybe, just maybe, the folks standing behind him might be making the difference right now.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that crowd really just turns things up for you. If you start hearing the crowd behind you, you start hearing the Quadrant chants. I mean, it just gives you that energy, that extra edge that you need in order to continue to power through, and that's what they're doing right now. I don't know if they've reached their ceiling just yet, Quadrant, but playing really well. It's Glory now with the camo in his hands, the shotgun in the hands of LastShot, the Bulldog being put to work on the camo player. That's a massive kill for Proton. Now they've got to act off that kill, though. They've got to get more. And it's Quadrant right now trapped inside a tram. Sica gets a kill off the back foot. But Druk trying to look for the cleanup kill, and he'll get it.
Well, the 2 players to watch out for in this game going to be Snipedrone and Taulek. All Quadrant, the only player that has a positive KD this weekend in Slayer is Snipedrone. They still haven't had a lot of success on Slayer because he has a 1.38. Been insane for his team thus far. On the other side, you got Taulek sitting at a 1.35. The 2 of these players really going to be the impactful Slayers for their team.
Druk, for me, that was a great play, right? You see the reach out by Sica on those B stairs, and Druk just asserting dominance, saying, you know, well, what are you doing challenging me with no shield? Very important to have those little mini mind games within a game, within a series as well. 14-10, Proton Gaming, a little bit of a slight lead at the early start of this game. Campbell coming up in 5 seconds. This kill is huge by Snipedrone. He'll get the first. It's going to be 1 down for the side of Quadrant, though, in Sica, so a trade is all that will amount to. Taulek, though, stuck at the tram side. This may be an opening to get this camo, but look, Proton get those cafe spawns, and Kuhlect, because of that, is able to grab the camo for himself. He's going to put it to work.
Yeah, Snipedrone, he's not going to be able to find this kill most likely. Yeah, there he goes down. But what's impressive to me about him is how he's just been marching forward on the map. He is laying down damage and immediately moving on to that next play. But a little sneaky play from Kuhlect going to lead to a back smack for his team. So far, this camo just playing very low-key and patient, but yeah, paying dividends for Proton Gaming.
Yeah, that's huge, right? He baits out that Bulldog, knows that that player is in GloryGGz is just going to push through. He gets 2 kills because of it. He had no more camo to work with, but he's still got a Bulldog in his hands. He's got a couple players behind him on this purple side. Look at the push here from Proton. 3 down, and they continue to stagger the spawns of Quadrant. This is a big kill, and they get that one too. 25-18 for Proton Gaming.
And this is the bounce back that you needed, right? Like the first game wasn't close. Coming back and having such a strong performance is exactly what Proton needed. It ensures that yes, you do belong, that you can calm yourself down going into your next game. The big thing right now, just finish this fight. Make sure that you play clean. Don't give up any stupid deaths. Always play trade for trade. There's no reason to try to make any hero plays when you're up by this much.
Yeah, Quadrant seem to be making a lot of hero plays. It's just a lot of overextensions with 2 down. I understand the aggression, but like right here, there's 2 down and they're pushing B Street by themselves. And look, Proton Gaming are just there to kill them.
You got 2 players in the same lane, but disconnected, right? And that's a huge blunder. But that's happening because of how Proton's increasing the pace. Quadrant, they're not necessarily doing anything wrong by being in that lane and being disconnected. Why it's wrong is because Proton is immediately pushing those players. Usually you don't feel that sort of pressure when you're playing your standard scrim or your matchmaking, but this is LAN. This is the moment that you have to live up to, and so far Proton using speed to get advantage, but sneaky camouflages gave Proton the lead. It could bring Glory and the rest of Quadrant back into it.
Now we can't hear the crowd in our ears, of course, but when you have a lead like this, if you're Proton Gaming, you've essentially shut that crowd up, and every moment that you can keep them quiet and not on the side of Quadrant is big for you. It's a 10-kill lead for Proton. Now they can just play for those trades. They can, like you said before, just play it slow, make sure you're getting the trades for those kills. Quadrant, though, have an answer back. It's still a 10-kill game.
Oh, SLG's just patient. Let Druk push into him, and yes, you're down by 9 kills here, but you still have a little bit of time. If you're able to go 3 for 1, 4 for 1 on these trades, I certainly see a path in which Quadrant can come back, but that can quickly be shut down if you let players like Druk and Taulek just harass you in this back base. Look how impressive the stat lines are of these players over at Proton Gaming, especially LastShot, dude. LastShot 16 and 9 with 8 assists. He has the most assists, most kills, and just about the least deaths for his team. An all-star performance thus far.
Trade after trade after trade. LastShot, look how aggressive he gets through somehow too. 17 and 10 now, 45-38. Quadrant have cut this lead a bit, but it's only 5 kills needed for the side of Proton. Campbell coming up in 5 seconds. Players on the bottom of Tram. There it is. It's down to 6 now. They get this camo. We could have a different game on our hands.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, though, because you have to get that camo, but you also can't afford to die on your way towards that camouflage. And I think that's just going to be proved to be too difficult for Quadrant here as Proton sprint towards their trades. The Quadrant just know that this one's over, and we're going to be tied up 1 apiece as we go into our game 3. Fantastic performance from LastShot in particular. I've really been impressed with his tournament all weekend long as well. It feels like he's really stepping into that role of the Slayer that they picked him up to be for this team. He's been keeping up with Taulek, and it's that 1-2 punch that seems to be pretty strong, right? Taulek's been obviously going to do Taulek things. He's in the top 10 KD of every tournament that he plays in, but he has a 1.23. What they needed was another player to replace someone like Soul Snipe, who left, right? Who was always that second Slayer. Now LastShot kind of doing that with a 1.1 in today's tournaments, but he what he doesn't get in the kills, he definitely makes up in damage, right? So he has that 1.1, doing a great job over there, but leads his team with damage dealt per game. Fantastic pickup from Proton, and he pays dividends in that game too. If other people can't change their fan curves, you can't change your fan curves.
Right, right.
We can talk about it more in depth because later, because our game 3 is on its way. Strongholds up, and it's going to be Quadrant versus Proton, the swing game. Quadrant, the home crowd behind them, right? Make sure that they can try to come out strong. I would love to see that rematch, but Proton, if they love to do anything, it's upset teams and prevent people from going any further in the tournament.
Okay, so listen, this could go one of 2 ways. You just hear me out, okay? Either Quadrant set Proton up in this triple caps like grapple holds, you know, this grip around their neck. Either that happens and the crowd goes wild and we have just incredible momentum going into game number 4, or Proton Gaming completely just surprise everybody and we have a very upset Quadrant. That's the way I'm looking at that right now. It's Glory with a shock rifle. Only one of those can be true, and Glory with that shock is going to get a kill, but Quadrant doesn't have a triple cap here, Tools. It's Proton Gaming.
All right, it's a flashy shock rifle kill, but nothing was going right for the team while it's happening. A quick flank from the side of Proton puts the trip cap in, and right now they have them trapped at elevator. These next kills are going to be the most important. You cannot die first if you're Quadrant. Great job getting the opening pick and finding space. It's always dangerous when you have all 4 players in one lane.
Well, you can see it's Proton Gaming with 2 down, still going for that A side, and that's the kind of thing that is risky in this situation, right? You go for A, you go for that triple cap or that rotational cap, and you end up in a scenario where now you're 3 dead, and guess what? You just gave Quadrant the most comfortable position they could ask for. A triple cap is locked.
No, look at this position. There's one player spawns out. They can find Taulek before he does any damage. This could be a long-term of trip cap for Quadrant.
Has to be SLG that hits some shots, though, and he's missed a couple thus far. Those are big misses. Those are big misses out of SLG, but it's still a triple cap. It's Kuhlect, though, that sneaks out with the camo. This is his opportunity.
This is tough for Kuhlect because, yeah, you have to make a play towards the hill. They're going to know where you're coming from. They neutralize camo as if it's a one-on-one Quadrant. They have them in a Nelson hold. They're going for the knockout right now. This is incredible how quick they're able to put this trip cap into effect. And Proton, they're helpless in this situation. They're not doing anything wrong. They just have to win a fight. They have to win a piv. This is the setup that Quadrant always wanted.
I mean, all I can think of is that meme that goes, no, 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 no. That's what's happening right now. Because Quadrant, once they have this locked in, if you're maybe new to Halo or you haven't watched enough Halo to understand, this is their specialty, right? Once they have this locked in, it is impossible to do anything. It's SLG once again, picking apart the players inside the pipes. LastShot does make it out with no shields, though. He somehow makes it onto A, and now C is being capped as well. Proton have found a way through.
LastShot staying alive while one shot is the difference maker for Proton. If he would have got shut down by SLG there, we'd see this trip cap still in effect. LastShot, though, with a lucky break as he grappled through the sky. But that's not done yet. They're going right back for the trip cap. And look how fluid the players on Quadrant are on this map. They understand that what they can and cannot do. Finally, Proton are scoring once again, but they are not remotely close to having any sort of map control. It's going to come down to these slays in order for Proton to get any sort of prolonged scoring effort.
I'm just honestly impressed that Proton have been able to get out of this. So it's a 4 dead. So I spoke a bit too early. Look how quickly Quadrant are to get on that triple cap right as 4 are dead. The minute 4 were dead, they jump in, get B and C, and they continue to score points here. This is beautiful.
Well, Glory having a shock rifle and camouflage is going to cause all sorts of pain for Proton Gaming. You can see why. Look how far up on the map he gets. Druk, massive kill to ensure that shock rifle camo doesn't wreck you for the rest of this game, but you're just running out of time. Point blank, period. We're already eclipsed the 200 point mark for Quadrant. This looks like Lando Norris on the track right now. This is blitzing speed from Quadrant to win this game.
It's just so beautiful. This is the type of stuff that I love Halo for, right? It's things like this where teams have really specialized that, you know, certain game types. We always know Quadrant for this map and strongholds in general. And this is where we'd love to have that pick ban system one day. I just think it's so cool to see these teams kind of specialize in these game types. You see right here, it's a stranglehold that continues to hold tight onto the neck of Proton Gaming. They're finding little moments where they get out, but it doesn't last long.
Kuhlect's little hop kept him alive just long enough to get that secure, but look how Quadrant rotate. They immediately put a scoring effort back in, and although A is going to go into the hands of Proton, Quadrant's still very much in the fight over at B to try to secure this hill.
Snipedrone runs out of ammo there. Tries to get as much value out of his life, so he goes for that melee, and guess what? Sica's there to clean it up immediately. It is continuous point gathering by the side of Sica and Quadrant. Kuhlect. Oh, that's a massive fight, I will say. It's 2 down for the side of Quadrant. A double cap locked in for Proton, and a chance for them to get some points for themselves.
Oh man, the shock rifle just never going into the hands of Proton is paying dividends for Quadrant in this game. They have been able to find opening picks because of those headshots.
Double kill.
And Snipedrone is having one of the best tournaments he's ever had, if not the best tournament he's ever had, in front of his home crowd, right out of England. Able to not have to endure that jet lag. I think it's made him superhuman in the way that he's been playing today.
All you see there, it's Proton with a last-ditch effort to try to get inside of B. Druk does make it inside the pipes, but he has to try and get past the players crossing on that A side, and because of that, he takes too much damage, goes down into batteries, gets taken out. 250 to 80, I think it was. 250 to 80. It's Quadrant once again dominant with 2 different players, right? Dominant in that beautiful strongholds recharge. We see it time and time again. They just showcase their brilliance on that map. And like I said, with that, it's going to be tough for Proton to come back. It's 1 game for the side of Quadrant. Taking a look at the stats here, SLG with 17 kills. And you have, of course, the damage that comes out from the other side there. Proton Gaming did their best. They got out of the chokehold a couple of times, but once you're down, you're down. It's like Khabib in the UFC. I mean, once you're on the ground, it's over.
Quadrant's just 1 game away. Proton back against the wall. This could be the highest place for Quadrant in such a long time. Almost maybe like Arlington from last year, right? They had their highest performance, but it's been a rocky road since.
100%. It's like the Celtics, right? In the NBA, they had the big 3, then they had to do a little bit of a change, and it just takes a little while to allow those changes to continue to build upon themselves, to continue to grow as a team. And it looks like Quadrant is starting to grow as a squad. The chemistry looks a little bit better.
Quadrant is nothing like the Boston Celtics, but that's
what do you mean?
The most winningest organization in like all time is like the Quadrant. Like, come on, get real with it. Nah, but for a short Quadrant, they needed to make some changes. They've had some growing pains, a lot of changes, and well, it seems to all be coming to fruition. Last time we were on this map, we saw a very slow game. I think we're seeing the exact opposite this time around. A lot of pushing from both sides, but not a lot of space being given up by either side. A lot of trades coming into the feed.
Well, we see Glory with that snipe on the vent side. Very important vent to hold here. Gets a shot on Taulek as well, but question is, can Taulek be cleaned up? It's a very important player to kill, right? That one shot, that one body shot, so big into the body of Taulek, but the fact that he's in the vents, such an important, powerful spot on the map, they're not able to get the kill, and because of that, he just runs away with another double.
I'd like to see the sniper of Taulek be a bit aggressive. It's always tough. It's a tough battle to play on Argyle, right? Because you don't want to be too aggressive with that snipe and give it up and potentially let a team have 2, but you need to have your big playmakers making big plays, and the way to do that is to have them on the front lines. I like to see Taulek getting more active on the map like he is now.
Yeah, he's on a killing spree. This is what Proton games need, right? You talked about Taulek not being that KD leader, but he's always been, like you said, in the top 10 for slays pretty much every single event. His slay capability will potentially bring this team forward. They've got to get through a Quadrant who have that crowd behind them, who are very loud, and it's not fair. They have trumpets, they have, you know, loud crowd. Like, I don't know. I love London. I love European Halo. They're so passionate.
It's just really funny to be like, yeah, I mean, the matches in Europe are not fair. I mean, they got like trumpets, dude. But really, it does make a difference, like having that energy behind you. I can tell you, there's not one person in the venue that's rooting for Proton right now on that side station. It is thunderous for Quadrant, and any play that they make that has any sort of success, Proton's gonna feel that pressure right away. And you know, unfortunately, it's on the side station, so we don't have those crowd mics, but I can promise you right now, it is loud on the side station.
Oh, it's real loud. It is extremely loud. It's a triple kill for Glory. Oh my word, that could have solidified that cap. The first cap on the board for Quadrant.
That's a way to get the first one in. Punch it on home. Snipedrone able to put the first one in, but that's all thanks to Glory. And well, where Glory left off, SLG is picking up. He gets two in his own with the sniper. Last shot desperately just trying to get forward on the map, giving his team space to work with. But Quadrant are feeling themselves in this game. Look how quick they are to move up on the map.
There are different levels of clips. I'm telling you right now, there's different levels of triple kills. There are different levels to triple kill snipes. But when you have 3 snipes in a row where 3 different players have an angle to look at you and you're playing against the best players in the game, that's a tough clip to hit, and he hits it really well. That solidifies that cap. And look, they're just steamrolling. It's 3 down once again. Last shot, the first one to spawn, but also the first one to go down to no shields. SLG just playing blocker at this point. Sica will put this in as well.
Yeah, Proton have accepted they're not going to be able to stop that flag. For them, it's just about getting to that middle line and understanding you're down 0-2. It's about playing a perfect flag game. You have to win a flag game in 7 minutes, 3-0. They ignore everything that's happened before.
There's no way. There's no way. I mean, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, this is not happening. Proton, they've got the spirit, they've got the energy, but Quadrant have the crowd. Quadrant have the venue. They've got the Quadrant car inside of the venue. There's just so many buffs going on. The car buff is it's real. It's a real thing. It's a real thing, Tools.
I'll take your word for it as we see already Quadrant just being, they're not necessarily having to be that same aggressive. So when you're up 2-0, right, the big thing now is just not to make mistakes. Don't get too aggressive. Don't leave the lanes open. Check your corners. Just play clean Halo. Yeah, you might not win the game 3-0, but it's important for you just not to lose the game at this point when you're up by this much. Just play clean, fundamental Halo. Do not let the players from Proton get behind you. That's the big thing. Shut down the flanks.
Well, Druk ends up getting a back smack. I believe it was onto SLG. That's going to allow him to acquire this snipe. I think he gets a body shot there onto Snipedrone inside the vents. It sounded like the hit marker did connect, but a couple of trades go back and forth. And you can see the pace. I was going to say the pace slows, but then we see SLG flying towards the back of Proton Gaming's base. He ends up falling, but it's a trade that Quadrant will gladly take for Kuhlect. Druk takes the vent once again with the snipe in his hands.
Look at what Sica's doing. Sica's keeping Druk preoccupied over in their back. He can't move forward because he knows there's a player in their backside. And while Sica was distracting, it looks as if the rest of Quadrant get onto the attack. Here we go. This is perfect Halo. Sica did his job, right? He just distracted everyone until the cavalry could arrive, and now they're sprinting. They're galloping their way home. It could be a 3-1 finish. The home crowd behind him. Revenge on the table. Legend, you best be getting ready. Quadrant's on their way.
That is exactly what we wanted to see. The rematch, or the match, I'm sorry, with the Bad Blood. Quadrant going up against their former teammate in Legend, and we're gonna get to see it now. The way the story pans out is absolutely beautiful. Gotta give the props to Proton, of course, for making it as far as they did. The first time Druk's been on land for a very long time, but Quadrant just so strong. And they showcase it. Here's the snipe from Glory. You have 3 people, pretty much 3 people looking at you, and you just hit every shot in a perfect fashion. Wow.
I mean, this is the Irish Legend, right? This is the definition of a cherry on top, right? The 2 are great. Let me just get the spot kill for the 3rd. That's the cleanest clip you'll probably see in the tournament this weekend.